Your habit of explaining away the impossible is exactly what keeps you trapped in the ordinary. Think of that one flash of impossible timing, the closed door that forced you down the only path that saved you. You called it random probability. It wasn't. That was the clearest sign you have ever received, carrying a precise blueprint for your next move. We are going to decode the anatomy of that exact moment. You will step out of the illusion of chance and learn the mechanism to navigate these anomalies. When you classify these events as mere coincidence, you commit a quiet act of sabotage known as the dismissal. It is a reflex that trades profound revelation for the safety of the mundane. But the sheer fact that you cannot fully forget what happened is the evidence of your identity. Being the chosen one is not a cosmic lottery ticket. It is simply the rare, unflinching capacity to pay attention while the rest of the world goes numb. Your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. It is the mechanism by which you shape reality. Where you place your attention determines what collapses from potential into actual experience. It is a posture of awareness, and you already have it. You are about to uncover the underlying physics of what you have been sensing all along. The broadcast never paused. The signal has always been there. The only mystery left is what you will hear when we finally adjust the antenna. There is an ancient account of a man who woke from a dream in the middle of a desolate landscape. He looked around at the barren rocks and the empty sky, and he said, "Surely the presence was here, and I did not know it." Consider the weight of that. Most people will walk through their entire lives without ever realizing this fundamental truth. They will stay asleep, convinced that the world is just a series of random collisions. But you are waking up. Think about this with me. What if the most critical guidance of your life arrived precisely when you were not looking? We spend years waiting for a burning bush, for a booming voice from the heavens to tell us exactly which path to take. We wait for the universe to write our destiny in neon lights. Think about the sheer scale of this. The universe is not a distant, cold void. It is an intimate, responsive architecture. It is breathing with you, moving with you, waiting for you to notice its subtle cues. But guidance is rarely a shout. It is a whisper. Imagine, for a moment, the alternative. Imagine if you had never brushed off that strange encounter last year. If, instead of shaking your head and calling it a crazy coincidence, you had followed the thread. Where would you be right now? Coincidence is just a word we use to avoid the terror of meaning. Because if it is not a coincidence, then it means you are being spoken to. And if you are being spoken to, you have to respond. The universe is not passive. It is actively engaging with your specific circumstances, responding to your precise frequency. The problem is not the transmission. It is the reception. Say this with me, out loud or in the quiet of your mind. I am ready to notice. This is not metaphor. This is the operating system of reality. When you dismiss the impossible as a random glitch, you are effectively hanging up the phone on the cosmos. You are closing the very door you begged to be opened. This is the tragedy of the modern mind. We have been trained to demand proof before we offer attention. But the architecture of reality demands the exact opposite. Your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. It is the mechanism by which you shape reality. Where you place your attention determines what collapses from potential into actual experience. You must offer attention before you can receive the proof. This is not a generic spiritual concept. It is a rigorous, observable mechanism. The transmission is constant. The signal has always been there. You just need to clear the static. Let me ask you a very direct question. Have you ever thought of someone you haven't spoken to in years, only for them to call you seconds later? Have you ever found the exact book you needed falling off a shelf, or heard a stranger answer the exact question you were holding silently in your mind? You already know this on some level. That is why you are still here. You know this feeling. You felt the jolt of recognition in your chest. For a split second, the world felt hyper-real, saturated with meaning. And then, almost immediately, your rational mind stepped in. You told yourself it was just the law of large numbers, just a trick of the brain. That sudden closure is exactly what we are going to dismantle today. I am going to show you the precise moment you most needed the signal, and what happened when you ignored it. More importantly, I am going to give you the exact protocol to ensure you never miss it again. This is not about acquiring a new belief system. This is about recovering a latent capacity. To step into this space, you have to make a commitment. You have to declare your availability to the unseen. If you are prepared to stop walking blindly through the architecture of your life, hit the subscribe button now. It is a physical gesture of a mental shift. The moment you make that declaration, the field shifts. The static begins to clear. The signal has always been there. Let's look at how it actually operates. Consider the decision you made 6 months ago, the one that felt heavy, tangled in logic and fear. You probably asked for a sign, and when it came, perhaps as a recurring number, a strange animal crossing your path, or a highly specific phrase spoken by a passing stranger, you looked at it, felt a chill, and then moved on. Consider the weight of that. Most people will walk through their entire lives without ever realizing this fundamental truth. They will stay asleep, convinced that the world is just a series of random collisions. But you are waking up. Why do we do this? Let me tell you a story that plays out millions of times a day. A woman is desperately trying to decide if she should leave her career. She is sitting in a crowded cafe, running the numbers, paralyzed by the risk. She quietly asks for any kind of direction. A moment later, the waitress drops a plate. It shatters loudly. The woman looks up, startled, and sees a small bird trapped inside the cafe, desperately hitting the glass window trying to get out. Feel the weight of what just shifted in you. The woman watches the bird finally find the open door and fly into the vast open sky. She feels a profound resonance in her body. The message is undeniably clear, but within 10 minutes, the rational mind takes over. She tells herself it's just a clumsy waitress and a confused bird. She stays in her job for another 5 years, miserable. This is the mechanism of the dismissal. You might argue that this is just confirmation bias, that you are only seeing what you want to see. But the physiological response in your body, when a true sign arrives, proves otherwise. Some will say this is just magical thinking, but when you look at the sheer statistical impossibility of these sequences, mathematical logic breaks down. The researcher and author Rupert Sheldrake has spent decades studying how intention and attention shape reality. Whether or not you agree with the mechanism, the phenomenon is real. Our minds are not isolated computing machines. They are deeply entangled with our environment. The sign is not a superstition. It is an environmental response to an internal frequency. When you ignore the response, you don't just miss a cue. You actively suppress your own resonance. The transmission never stops. The signal has always been there. But what happens when the coincidence is too precise to ignore? Naming it coincidence closes the loop before you have read the message. Think about the moment you were pushed to the absolute edge. You had exhausted all logical options. You were empty. And then, something impossible happened. An event so perfectly tailored to your exact crisis that it defied any mathematical probability. You know this feeling. The sheer weight of the moment forces you to stop. Carl Jung studied these exact moments. He called them meaningful coincidences with no causal explanation, synchronicities. There is a language here, and you already know some of the words. This is where the universe bypasses your logic entirely. Every field responds to its observer. You are the observer. When a coincidence carries profound meaning, it is no longer an accident. It is an intervention. But here is the danger. We are so conditioned to fear the unknown that we quickly sweep these interventions under the rug. We call them spooky or weird and refuse to integrate them into our worldview. This is the moment most people look away. You are still looking. The next block reveals why you discarded the signal exactly at the moment you should have listened the most. It is not because you are broken. It is because you are operating a highly sensitive instrument without a manual. When you recognize a synchronicity, you are witnessing the fabric of reality responding to your consciousness. The universe is not a dead machine. It is a living dialogue. The signal has always been there. You just have to learn the language. If you think this is purely mystical, look at the hard data. The Princeton physicist John Wheeler proposed something that completely upends our standard view of the world. He suggested that we live in a participatory universe. The physics invites us to ask, does the act of observation actually alter the reality being observed? In quantum mechanics, the observer effect demonstrates that a particle does not have a definite state until it is measured. Your attention literally collapses the wave of potential into a singular reality. Think about this with me. If your mere observation alters the behavior of a subatomic particle, what does your focused attention do to the macroscopic events of your life? Your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. It is the mechanism by which you shape reality. Where you place your attention determines what collapses from potential into actual experience. When you ask for a sign and then actively look for it, you are not passively waiting for a random event. You are actively participating in the creation of that event, and that recognition is not an accident. It is the signal doing its work. The universe is a field of infinite potential. Your attention is the lens that brings a specific potential into focus. The sign is not a predestined script. It is a co-created reality. When you refuse to observe, when you fall into the dismissal, you leave the wave uncollapsed. You leave the potential unrealized. This is not a small thing. The dismissal is the silent killer of destiny. It is the invisible force that keeps you exactly where you are, day after day, year after year. We think we are being rational, but we are just being safe. The universe is offering you a partnership, and you are leaving it on red. The physics of your reality requires your participation. The signal has always been there. It is waiting for your attention. Let's bring this down to the ground. You wake up, you go to work, you deal with the friction of daily life. In the middle of all this, a highly improbable, deeply meaningful event occurs. A song plays that answers your exact question. A stranger hands you a flyer with the exact word you needed to see. And what do? You smile, say what a weird coincidence, and go back to your emails. Coincidence is just a word we use to avoid the terror of meaning. Because if it is not a coincidence, then it means you are being spoken to. And if you are being spoken to, you have to respond. This is the enemy, the dismissal. It is the automatic reflex that reclassifies a profound intervention as a random glitch. The signal is not looking for someone worthy. It is looking for someone attentive. The dismissal is not skepticism. True skepticism investigates. The dismissal is a defense mechanism designed to protect you from the terrifying responsibility of realizing how much power you actually possess. The rational mind is a loyal guard, but it guards the prison as well as the palace. The signal has always been there, but we have built a fortress of rationality to keep it out. Everything we have discussed so far has been about recognizing the pattern, about seeing the undeniable link between your internal state and your external reality. But there is a trap here. You might think that if you just wait long enough, the universe will send a sign so loud, so undeniable, that you won't be able to ignore it. You might think the dismissal is just a phase. It is not. And this is exactly where I discovered that the dismissal has an address. It lives in the gap between your perception and your action. Safety is not neutral. Every time we choose the familiar, we pay a cost in possibility. All of this was about observing the universe, but there is your response to it, and your response is something you control. You are not a passive audience member in the theater of your life. You are the director. If you want to step out of the audience and onto the stage, you have to anchor this commitment. Subscribe to this channel right now, not just as a viewer, but as a participant. It is time to make the second declaration. Say it with intention. I choose to see what the universe shows me. This is the pivot. We are moving from theory to mechanics. The signal has always been there. Let's learn how to use it. We are now entering the first layer of the signal protocol. This is about attention. Observation is not passive. It is an act of creation. The most common misconception about a sign is that it must look like a miracle. People expect the clouds to part or a stranger to hand them a briefcase full of answers. But that is not how the architecture of reality operates. Consider the weight of that. Most people will walk through their entire lives without ever realizing this fundamental truth. They will stay asleep, convinced that the world is just a series of random collisions. But you are waking up. A sign is not a disruption of the natural order. It is an alignment within it. When you ask for direction, the universe does not rewrite the laws of physics just to get your attention. It uses the materials already present in your environment. Think about the sheer scale of this. The universe is not a distant, cold void. It is an intimate, responsive architecture. It is breathing with you, moving with you, waiting for you to notice its subtle cues. Think about the radio analogy. The room you are sitting in right now is completely saturated with radio waves. There is music, news, and static constantly passing through your body. You do not hear any of it. Why? Because you are not tuned to the frequency. A sign is simply a frequency that you have suddenly tuned into. The first step of the signal protocol is redefining what a sign actually is. It is not an anomaly. It is a resonance. When you are deeply grappling with a question, your internal state creates a specific frequency. When something in your external environment matches that frequency, it catches your attention. That flash of recognition is not a coincidence. It is an acoustic match. But what happens next? You experience the resonance, and within seconds, the dismissal kicks in. You tell yourself it is just your brain playing tricks on you. You rationalize it. You kill the signal before it can fully form. This is not a small thing. The dismissal is the silent killer of destiny. It is the invisible force that keeps you exactly where you are, day after day, year after year. We think we are being rational, but we are just being safe. To master the first layer, you have to create a gap. When the resonance hits, you must pause. Do not immediately try to explain it. Do not immediately try to dismiss it. Just hold it. That quiet knowing in your chest, that is the receiver waking up. You know this feeling. The sudden weight in your chest. The undeniable sense that the event is speaking directly to you. Hold that feeling. Do not let the rational mind crush it. This requires discipline. It requires you to stop treating your intuition as a secondary sense. Your intuition is the primary receptor. The signal has always been there. You are just learning how to keep the channel open. The second layer of the protocol is about identity. And this is where most people turn back. When you start recognizing signs, a very specific fear arises. You think, who am I to receive this kind of guidance? I am not special. I am not chosen. The ones who wake up are the ones who stay when it gets uncomfortable. This is the ultimate trick of the dismissal. It uses your own humility as a weapon against you. The reflex is fast. The cost is slow. That is why it is so easy to miss. Let me be absolutely clear. The chosen one is not a title of privilege. It is a posture of responsibility. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, who survived the darkest horrors of human history, observed something profound. He said that each person has a specific vocation, a unique calling that cannot be assigned to anyone else. Your life demands a specific answer that only you can give. This aligns perfectly with an ancient text. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5, there is a profound statement. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. You are not the same person who pressed play. Something has already changed. Do not treat this as mere poetry. Look at the mechanics of the statement. You were known before you were formed. Your specific configuration was designed for a specific purpose. You are not a random collection of atoms. You are a deliberate creation. But the tragedy is that we spend our lives trying to be someone else. We try to fit into the generic mold of success, ignoring the highly specific signals tailored just for us. This is the moment most people look away. You are still looking. When you claim the title of the chosen one, you are not claiming to be better than anyone else. You are simply accepting the terrifying responsibility of your own uniqueness. You are accepting that the universe is talking to you directly and that you must answer. This is the moment of choice. Write below in the comments, what was the sign you called coincidence? Name it. Bring it into the light. The act of writing it down shatters the grip of the dismissal. You were not protecting yourself. You were protecting the pattern that no longer serves you. You are no longer hiding. You are stepping into the identity of the receiver. The signal has always been there. Now, you are finally ready to own your part in the dialogue. The third layer of the protocol is participation. This is the step that most people skip, and it is the reason why they remain stuck even after they receive a sign. You see, a sign is not an instruction manual. It is an invitation. The researcher and author Greg Braden speaks about the divine matrix, a deeply connected field of energy that responds to our beliefs and emotions. This field is not a passive mirror. It is an active participant. And that recognition is not an accident. It is the signal doing its work. When you receive a sign, the universe is making a move on the chessboard. But the game does not continue until you make your move. Think about the sheer scale of this. The universe is not a distant, cold void. It is an intimate, responsive architecture. It is breathing with you, moving with you, waiting for you to notice its subtle cues. Remember the ancient account from Genesis 28 verse 16. The man who said, "Surely the presence was here, and I did not know it." His name was Jacob. And after he realized the presence was there, he did not just go back to sleep. He built a monument. He took a physical action to anchor the revelation. You must do the same. When the sign arrives, you cannot just say, "Wow, that was amazing," and continue with your day. You must respond. You must take a physical step in the direction of the resonance. If the sign points you toward a specific person, call them. If it points you toward a new path, take the first step. The size of the step does not matter. The direction does. You already know this on some level. That is why you are still here. This is how you prove to the universe that you are paying attention. This is how you shift from a passive observer to an active participant. The universe does not shout. It resonates. You have to learn to feel the hum. The next layer contains the exact reason why this is so difficult, and the secret to bypassing the resistance. Do not miss this. The window of opportunity is narrow. The universe rewards momentum. When you participate, the field responds. It sends another signal, clearer than the first, and another, and another. You enter a state of flow, a continuous dialogue with the unseen. The transmission never ends. The signal has always been there. But I know exactly what you are thinking right now. You are thinking, if this is true, if the universe is constantly sending signals, why doesn't it just make it obvious? Why all this subtlety? Why all this room for doubt? The architecture is not indifferent. It is waiting for your attention. This is the ultimate preemptive objection. You want the universe to force your hand. But the universe does not deal in coercion. It deals in consent. This is not metaphor. This is the operating system of reality. Let's return to the master analogy, the radio antenna. Imagine you are trying to find a specific station. You turn the dial, but all you hear is static. Do you blame the radio station? Do you assume the broadcast has stopped? That quiet knowing in your chest? That is the receiver waking up. Of course not. You know the problem is the tuning. The universe is broadcasting at a frequency of absolute clarity, but your receiver is jammed with the static of fear, doubt, and social conditioning. The universe does not shout. It resonates. You have to learn to feel the hum. The dismissal is the static. When the universe sends a sign, it leaves a margin of doubt intentionally. It forces you to choose. If there were no doubt, there would be no choice, and without choice, there is no participation. Every field responds to its observer. You are the observer. The ambiguity is not a flaw in the system. It is the core mechanism of free will. You must choose to believe the sign over the static. You must intentionally adjust the dial until the resonance is clear. The antenna is not broken. You just haven't learned how to tune it. The signal has always been there. It is time to master the dial. Let's go deeper into the root cause. Why is your dial so jammed? The dismissal is not just a bad habit. It is a neurological defense mechanism built over a lifetime. The reflex is fast. The cost is slow. That is why it is so easy to miss. From a very young age, you were taught to prioritize the measurable over the meaningful. You were taught that if you cannot prove it, it is not real. This conditioning creates a rigid filter in your brain. When a synchronicity occurs, it bypasses this filter for a fraction of a second. You feel the truth of it. But then the filter snaps back into place, aggressively reclassifying the event as a random probability. This is why you feel a subtle sense of grief every time you dismiss a sign. You are watching a door close. To break this filter, we need a diagnostic test. I am going to give you 3 questions to ask yourself the next time you experience a strange coincidence. The word coincidence is a door we lock from the inside. Question 1. Did this event answer a question I was secretly holding in my mind? Question 2. Did my body react before my logical mind had a chance to process it? Did I feel a sudden chill, a dropping in the stomach, or a burst of energy? Feel the weight of what just shifted in you. Question 3. Does the rational explanation feel hollow and disappointing compared to the intuitive meaning? If the answer to these 3 questions is yes, you are not dealing with a coincidence. You are dealing with a direct communication. Remember the story of the woman in the cafe with the bird? She failed this test. She let the rational explanation crush the intuitive meaning. You do not have to make that same mistake. You have the tools now. The signal has always been there. Let's look at how to put all of this into practice immediately. We have dismantled the enemy. We have built the foundation. Now, it is time for the practical solution. The signal protocol is not a philosophy. It is an executable sequence. Step 1. Attention. You must clear the static and create a gap. When the anomaly occurs, pause. Do not immediately label it. Just hold the resonance. Step 2. Identity. You must claim your position. Accept that the universe is speaking specifically to you. You are the chosen one for this specific message. The architecture is not indifferent. It is waiting for your attention. Step 3. Participation. You must respond. Take one physical action in the direction of the sign. Anchor the revelation in the physical world. This is the complete protocol. It is simple, but it is not easy. It requires you to constantly push back against Vine, the dismissal. This is not a small thing. The dismissal is the silent killer of destiny. It is the invisible force that keeps you exactly where you are, day after day, year after year. We think we are being rational, but we are just being safe. But when you execute this sequence, something miraculous happens. The universe notices that you are noticing. The dialogue accelerates. The signs become clearer, more frequent, more undeniable. You step into a state of profound alignment. This is the moment to lock this in. Hit the like button right now. Do this not to please an algorithm, but to anchor your commitment in the physical world. It is a physical click that tells your brain, I have received the protocol, and I am ready to use it. The ones who wake up are the ones who stay when it gets uncomfortable. The signal has always been there. Now, we are going to experience it. We are going to do something different now. If it feels comfortable, close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a slow, deep breath in and let it out completely. Settle into the physical weight of your body. That quiet knowing in your chest? That is the receiver waking up. We are going to retrieve a lost signal. Bring your attention to a specific moment in your past. A moment when you asked for guidance and received something so wildly specific that it startled you. A number, a word, a bizarre coincidence. See the room you were in. Feel the exact physical sensation you had in that split second of recognition. The dropping in your stomach, the sudden heat in your chest. Hold that feeling. Now, Watch how you pushed it away. Watch how the dismissal stepped in, offering a cold, rational excuse. Notice the subtle sense of loss that followed. Safety is not neutral. Every time we choose the familiar, we pay a cost in possibility. Breathe into that memory. You are not judging yourself. You are simply observing the mechanism. You are recognizing the moment the antenna was turned off. Take one more deep breath, and as you exhale, silently release the habit of ignoring. Let the rationalization dissolve. Open your eyes. You have just reclaimed your awareness. Now, we are going to open the channel for the next transmission. What comes next is the moment that changes your week. Take another breath, slower this time. Feel the air moving into your lungs, grounding you in the present second. This time, you are not looking at the past. You are inviting the future. Set a clear intention in your mind. Think of the one area in your life where you desperately need clarity. Do not ask for a solution, just hold the question. And that recognition is not an accident. It is the signal doing its work. Focus your attention on the space just outside your physical body. Imagine you are turning the dial on a highly sensitive receiver. You are tuning into the frequency of the answer. You are not watching the field. You are participating in it. Feel the quiet anticipation in your chest. This is the posture of the receiver. You are no longer demanding proof. You are offering your attention. Where your focus lands, reality follows. Silently tell the universe, I am listening. I will not dismiss the response. Hold this openness for just a moment. Feel the profound stillness. When you are ready, gently bring your focus back to the room. The channel is now open. The next sign is already on its way. You have crossed the threshold. You are no longer someone who walks blindly through the architecture of reality, brushing off the profound as mere chance. Consider the weight of that. Most people will walk through their entire lives without ever realizing this fundamental truth. They will stay asleep, convinced that the world is just a series of random collisions. But you are waking up. You are awake to the dialogue. The universe is constantly broadcasting, but it requires your participation to complete the circuit. It is time to make the final declaration. This is the initiation into your true identity. Say this with absolute conviction. I am a reader of signs. I am the chosen one. When you speak these words, you are not claiming superiority. You are accepting responsibility. You are taking your rightful place in the participatory field. You are not the same person who pressed play. Something has already changed. If this transmission shifted something in you, you know exactly what to do. The signal has always been there, and now, so are you. Share this video with 5 people who desperately need to wake up from the dismissal. Send it to the ones who keep ignoring their own intuition. You were not protecting yourself. You were protecting the pattern that no longer serves you. Notice deeply. Choose consciously. Become coherent. Walk gently. The sage walks with you. And if you are wondering how you ended up here today, watching this exact video at this exact moment in your life, remember this. You didn't find this video. Something brought you here. Because the signal has always been there.